studios at Hartford Public Access on Sargent Street in Hartford. It's the Whaler guys. Pete Hindle from theexaminer.com, Jerry Irwin here, and we are ready to talk hockey. Last week, we were lucky enough to have David Panagore, the former COO of Hartford and a good friend of us, come in and talk about Springfield, Hartford, New Haven, what's going on. Why can't we all work together to get some tourism within the state, up the 91 corridor, down the 91 corridor. One of the things I was very interested about was the ratio of only about 1% of the people go from Hartford to work in Springfield, and then only 4% come from Springfield to work from Hartford, or vice versa. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but that was really interesting. I thought there'd be more people traveling north and some people coming south from Springfield.
It's a good point, because David Panagore's worked for Springfield, for Hartford, and currently for New Haven as the development or the director of public parking. But he's got a good feel for that corridor, and if you remember, he said it's the kind of the area in New England that just didn't get all the money. They spend money on all these other places, but there's such a good sized market there, and that's been proven through the CRDA. When they did the analysis of the market, that market, those now in the TV ratings they'll show Springfield and Hartford, Hartford and New Haven, but not Springfield. But it's really those three cities, because you do get that traffic to the XL Center from Springfield and from New Haven. And even recently I was up in the Western Mass, and I ran into some Whaler fans up there. And Western Mass has always been a strong supporter of the Whalers. There's a lot of season tickets there. When we do the St. Patrick's Day parade, we always have people from Western Mass come all the way down to participate in the parade.
And even with the AHL, you hear of Hartford fans going up to Springfield to see the games and sharing the hockey experience up in Springfield, and vice versa. You see the Springfield fans come down and visit when Springfield plays Hartford. When we sit there and look at what we've done and what we've accomplished with the Whaler guys through the numbers of shows we've done and the guests we've had on, Dennis House, we've had Howard Baldwin, we've talked Whalers hockey, we've talked Connecticut Whale, Wolfpack, we've talked the NHL. We've amassed almost 150 shows. We're almost there. And we appreciate all the viewers that are hanging in with us. We do the best we can with the information we have. And Cox Communications come forward to enlist the Whaler guys to be sent out over the Cox Communications public access and Long Meadow, Mass. So we are up in Western Mass, and throughout the state of Connecticut, there's 1,900 shows going to be shown statewide. So we appreciate everything. The viewers have given us our feedback and constructive criticism here and there, some story ideas.
Always
we have our emails out there. Get a hold of us. And we'll put those up on our social media so you can contact us. So we had Michael Freemuth, we had David Panagore, we talk hockey, we talk arena, we talk potential relocation. What is going to sell the NHL to bring a team here? Is it just a facility? Is it the facility with attendance? We saw what UConn did. With the hockey alone was over 60,000 for the games that they had in Hartford. And they gave us great enjoyment for the first year in the Hockey East.
It really was. And what we have here is what I like to call like a confluence of circumstances. Because we need UConn. If you're trying to get an NHL, UConn has to be a tenant in this building, has to be signed on for 5 years. That's kind of the next step. As you've seen, we've always talked about this being a process, and I think even David or Michael said that it's a process. The next thing is to get UConn on board. After that, then they would go to the General Assembly and get some public support for the arena plan. So it's a process of steps, but with UConn here, with the market analysis that's been done, and with the arena plan, all the process steps are there to attract an NHL team. And as you know, the NHL vetted this arena plan by having one of their own architects do the plan. So the NHL, is at least they've been contacted. They've talked to the NHL about what needs to be in an arena for it to work. So,
which is interesting because like Michael has said, Michael Freemuth said he's responsible for the arena. He's not responsible for the team. He's not responsible for an investment group that would be purchasing the team and hockey operations and this and that. So Michael Freemuth and the CRDA, who have been very, very forthcoming with the information and the presentation that they put out with SCI, he's responsible for the building. I think between him, Chris Lawrence, the XL Center general manager, They worked very, very hard, and a lot of the stuff that we see inside the XL Center is not really all of it, and the infrastructure was to keep that building going. And from what we heard, it needed it really bad.
Yeah, well, I remember we were invited on a tour with the CRDA in October. I think it was October 2nd, so it was just before the scoreboard was still on the floor. And if you remember, we walked around, and when we saw the ice making equipment, it looked like something that should be in the Smithsonian.
Or from the Munsters.
I mean, it was quite a contraption, and they really couldn't do much updating to that device, but they could insulate the piping, and that's what we saw. They insulated the piping. But the point is that $35 million wasn't like something that would keep the building running forever.
And like Michael said, they spent $33 million to keep $2 million for
case,
anything else that happens.
Right.
And I would think that he's keeping that $2 million reserved just to keep everything running until, or if, the General Assembly approves that money.
Right.
And that's the other thing. Hopefully there's an investment group out there that either can, first of all, get us a team, second of all, help pitch in with some of the expensive up to $250 million.
Because that's what you're looking at, the 250. A lot of people talk about a new arena, but we were very, it was very clearly made by Murray Bainan, who's the head architect at SCI, where he said the $250 million plan and the $500 million plan, there'd be no difference in appreciable value at the end of the deal. In other words, the operational costs, the revenue streams would all be the same. So it's kind of like, you want a new car, or can you get your used one with a new motor and get it redone
for another 100,000 miles.
And then but half the price. So why wouldn't you want to do that?
And you also have to remember, especially when you get into the governor announcing the budget situation, and not that I bring in politics because I don't like politics. It's a lot easier for the governor, the states, to sell a $250 million retrofit than a $500 million brand new arena, especially at this stage of the game. That, and if Winnipeg took an old building and refurbished it, why can't Hartford?
Exactly.
And we're going to go 3,000 more seats, wasn't it? It's like 18,000.
That's true. They were going to do that. And they made Michael Freeman made a point that the Barclays Center wasn't originally made for hockey. Whether it's a good hockey venue now or not, it is a hockey venue. It will be next year.
Yes, it will.
The Islanders will be playing there, and what Hartford's doing now, which is just great. This is the confluence of circumstances, because UConn coming in the Hockey East has given us kind of put a purpose on the building, giving us a need for the building. And I'll run some numbers by you here. These are courtesy of Anderson Analytics, who's done some stats work. So for men's basketball, the UConn men's basketball had 8 home games, and they drew 98,851 fans. That's an average of a little over 12,000 people per game. Now, women's basketball, which usually draws well, had 7 dates, and they had over 61,000 people come to the games. Hockey, as you know, we said 11 dates, you got 64,000. So when you look at this Excel Center, you had 26 UConn dates between the women, the men, and the men's hockey and the men's basketball.
And look at the average crowds. You have 12,000, over 12,000 for men. Over 8,000 for women, and over 5,000 for hockey.
Nearly 6.
So when you put all that into perspective, that's 26 dates at 224,000 people that visited the XL Center, just UConn alone.
Just UConn. And when you see that and you compare it to the AHL, which is really more expensive for the XL Center, because you have the Rangers affiliation fee, you have AHL various things. Plus, be honest, the attendance doesn't match up to what UConn is drawing. So AHL can be more expensive, plus you have more dates. You have 38 AHL dates, where you have these 26 UConn dates, and you're getting 100,000 more people in UConn. So you kind of see where that is where you would focus on. And the governor said this on February 9th, 2014, when he was on Face the State. Go through UConn. That's the proof.
Yes, and the other thing is not, and I have to be realistic, because there have been some viewers that have emailed us, and they have said, well, it's only an inaugural season with UConn hockey. Will the shine fall off? I certainly hope not, and I hope UConn hockey has given us enough excitement the first year that will continue to support them, and it was very exciting hockey. The Wolfpack, unfortunately, between the marketing of the team, I don't know what's going on with why aren't the people going in to watch the Wolfpack games. They have a great following, they have great passionate fans, but look at the numbers. The numbers are not there. And as you said, when you went to the Wolfpack numbers, from 2014 back to 2010.
It's interesting because they've had such another brand. It's been 10 years of a declining attendance. They have a shot to turn that around. Global, has a shot to for the first time, make the Wolfpack brand a higher average than it's been in the last 10 years. So you look at that and you think, over the last 7 or 8 dates, the Wolfpack has drawn really well. They've done, over 5,000 people a game, and I believe this is just my opinion, but I believe that having UConn there, having that $35 million, have the fan bar there, it's starting to bring more people into the building. Not to mention that Wolfpack are fighting for a playoff spot, but I think those other factors brought more people into the building.
I think it sparked the hockey, specifically the hockey. The UConn hockey team, and the excitement and the passion they played with. Yeah, they lost a couple games, but you know what? Yeah. There was a lot of passion, and it reignited that hockey market. Yeah. We've had the hockey market. We've been told by Michael Freemuth, the study, this is a hockey market. And look at what happened.
Yeah. For instance, like last year, there's 6 home games left for the Wolfpack. They need to draw 18,687 fans over those 6 games to surpass the previous year, which is something, like I said, it hasn't happened in 10 years. If you look at all these stats in particular, from the 2010, the last time the Wolfpack were a brand before the Connecticut Whale, they needed 23,000 fans to reach that number from 2010. They need 36,000 to reach what it was for the Connecticut Whale in 2013. So, we're seeing the Wolfpack's kind of holding its own, but in general, as we've been told, it's not enough people are coming into the building to make it profitable.
Right.
Now, that's not a knock really on Hartford or the Wolfpack as much as because I think there's only 2 or 3 teams that actually make a profit. That'd probably be Hershey and Providence. But obviously, the more people you have come in, it offsets that cost. But the Wolfpack have 1 more year left on this contract. They do have 2 options, 1-year options. But I'm thinking that next year, it might be Splitsville between the 2. You just don't know, though.
But we have to remember, I don't think it's going to be, if it's going to be Splitsville, what's going to happen is an NHL team will be here in Hartford.
Yeah.
Other than that, the Islanders are moving to Barclays Center. Right. And from what I heard, the Bridgeport team cannot move to Nassau for at least 2 years.
Yeah.
Because the Nassau Coliseum's going through what the XL Center just did, and it's going to take 2 years to complete just the renovation to keep it going.
Right.
And that talks about concourses and everything else.
And taking down the seating there, too. I think they want to knock it down to 12,000.
12,000, correct.
That's a perfect size AHL building, especially in that area. Where would the Wolfpack go if they leave after next season? I don't know. But I feel, and again, just my opinion, that even if the NHL doesn't return, I think the Wolfpack are and the state of Connecticut may not get together anymore. When you get the 224,000 from UConn, do you really need the AHL if you're getting this many people from UConn alone? Because, as I said, it's expensive. The AHL is very expensive.
Plus,
the Ranger affiliate fee is $1.4 million.
If the state has to pay that $1.4 million affiliation fee again, I don't think that'll happen on that alone.
Well, it's probably going to go up too.
Of course it is.
Because if you remember when WSC, Whaler Sports Entertainment, had the affiliate fee, it was just a little over $1 million.
Yeah.
Then when it went back to the Wolfpack and Global got it, it was a $400,000 increase.
Yes.
That's a pretty significant increase.
It is. And
the highest affiliate fee.
It'd be
in the
different
league.
if it was an NHL club where you could sustain that.
Right. You're not seeing them
$400,000 for an AHL team that's not drawing as well as it was in the previous years, as you pointed out.
In a building that it has outdated revenue streams. Yes. So that's the bad confluence of circumstances. These things are costing money. So it's interesting to see. I totally could be wrong. At the end of next year, the Wolfpack could sign their 1-year option. Sure. They could stay. Yeah. But, you just don't know, and there's a lot of talk out there, especially with all the AHL moves to begin with, because don't forget now, Worcester's gone. Manchester's gone.
Yep, they're moving to the West Coast.
They're all moving. So AHL travel is going to get a little bit more expensive, and, we don't really know where...
Someone brought up to me the other day, and I don't know what league it was. Yeah. Would they actually go into 2 different divisions where these teams would be playing themselves out here, the East Coast would play themselves here, and maybe take a trip where they do a round robin with all the West Coast teams to cut down on how much it would cost to bring that team back and forth to the West Coast. Yeah. And that's a neat idea. I don't know what the AHL is thinking because most of the teams are on the East Coast. We have nothing in the middle of the country.
Yeah.
We used to have Grand Rapids.
Yeah, even Oklahoma City's gone.
Chicago Wolves, they're not there anymore.
Yeah.
So you have 2 coasts, 8 hours apiece in a plane.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And we heard from Jeremy Jacobs when he made the statement, bring Hartford, the Whalers back, because
the owner of the Bruins.
I can bus them down to Hartford, and then they can bus down to New York,
Yeah.
and it saves all kinds of money on jet fuel.
Yeah.
Imagine the AHL, where the tickets aren't there, the attendance in some areas is not what it should be, and you're not getting any money.
Yeah.
So hopefully it doesn't drive them into a financial despair.
Yeah. But it's like I said, if nothing gets done with this building, then there won't be anything. There won't be any basketball. There won't be. I don't think UConn's signing this contract with the intention that nothing's going to happen to the building. Something has to happen to the building in order, for them to be interested.
And that's the long-term commitment. We talked to people out that work in the city and the state, and it was my opinion, that didn't UConn have to build an arena on campus?
Yeah.
And we were told, no, if they're drawing the best in the Hockey East, I'm sure the governor is going to stick up for UConn and say, no, they're going to sit right in the XL Center and play here because look what we've done for your division.
Yeah, the semantics of it too is that you're making Hartford a campus. The XL Center's on the Hartford campus.
Technically, it's the West Hartford campus is moving downtown, and you're going to have a lot more young people downtown.
I don't know if Hockey East is going to buy that, but we'll see, because
that's up to the politicians
they'll
to
have
take
to
care of it.
I think either way, I think that they will have to do something. I don't know if they can renovate the Friedis Ice Center there at UConn and make that a Hockey East.
They were actually talking about building a brand new one.
To from scratch.
Yes.
So that would be that's going to be pricey too. And as Susan Hurst, the president of UConn, said on Face the State, that they're looking for more revenue. Well, one way to get more revenue is to put $250 into the XL Center,
become a partner with the state, and you're all set.
Yeah, sign a 5-year lease, and let's get the NHL in here.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, when you look at, and Susan Hurst, is probably, as we've heard, is upset because $40 million was taken away from UConn.
Yeah.
And so I'm sure that hurts them
in the budget.
Right. So not that you can control that.
No.
Other state universities are hurt just as well.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
And so when you look at how can recoup that money, maybe a little bit would be from the UConn partnership with the XL Center.
Yeah. As long as they, like I said, the fact that the building doesn't have to go dark. If you wanted a new arena, you have to go dark for 2 or 3 years. And honestly, 3 years from now, you don't know where the NHL is going to be. You don't know what,
And if anyone has been downtown, when there's nothing at the XL Center, it's quiet.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's dead,
more
because there's not.
Quiet, yeah.
Our dwellers in downtown who contact us all the time, Megan Freed, David Panagore, Suzanne Hopgood, these are people that live downtown.
Yeah.
And there's a lot going on, and we hope to bring some of those people on who can enlighten us. What goes on downtown after 5. Everyone believes they roll up the shades and that's it, and everyone go to sleep.
Yeah.
But that's not the case. There's a lot going on, and those people who live downtown and work downtown believe in the city, and they believe in the XL Center staying open and not going dark, because it's one more thing that brings attractions downtown.
Right. And I saw something in the news today that the Goodwin Hotel is up for sale again. And this time, the point is that they finally put it up for sale because they realize the market's turning in Hartford. That there's more interest in investment in properties and
a prime example of that was Pearl Street.
Yes.
In 2011, the Pearl Street property, the big blue building there, was valued at $11 million. The other day, it was sold for $37 million.
That's right.
So someone is investing in Hartford and seeing what's on the horizon.
Yes.
Like you said, with the Goodwin Hotel, which is a beautiful building.
Yeah, very historic.
Yep. And that's going to be another, if they can secure a sale, that's 2 major properties in the downtown area that we need to keep, and we have to remember what was there that made it special.
Yeah, absolutely. Because seeing investment in Hartford, you saw it with the busway, of course, that people talk about. But that's going to come online. You have these other things where these properties are being sold. You have the XL Center with all the information and stuff we're getting now. It said that the General Assembly next year would get the budget for that. But hey, if something came along to push that forward, it might be possible to
when you
get
put
it done
all
sooner.
These things together. And remember, this Saturday, March 28th, the busway goes online.
Oh, really?
It goes online, and for 9 days, it's free.
No way.
You can ride the busway for free for 9 days, starting this Saturday, March 28th.
How about that?
And so what you want to do is you want to take advantage of that. The other thing is, when you look at all the excitement downtown, you have the busway, you have UConn moving downtown, you have the luxury apartments that they're putting in, and some of them are already leased out, and there's waiting lists at some of the properties. And from what I heard, I think the Gold Building, some of the floors are going to be for the UConn classrooms.
Oh, wow.
Which is great because it's a great building. UTC moving out to Farmington, that's going to happen because it's a big business. The good news is United Healthcare brought all their people down. And then Aetna brought their people down from Middletown. So, you know, there's more of an influx than an exit.
Yeah, so there's going to be some exiting. And, you know, the other thing that's going on downtown that we got to talk about is we're going to be doing several shows at local area restaurants. And we'd like to invite you guys. We'll let you know if you pay attention to our social media pages, the Whalers Brigade on Facebook, and it's at Whalers Brigade for Twitter. We'll announce when we're going to have these shows. And you can come down in your Whalers jerseys. I think we're going to don our Whalers jerseys.
We have several of them. We have Ted Montana's, McKinnon's Pub. We had Carbone's over on was it Franklin Avenue? South end of Hartford. We're trying to get some other people on. Chris Lawrence will be joining us from the XL Center.
Yeah, that's true too.
So maybe we'll have to save Chris Lawrence for some of our restaurant shows. That might be a good one. We are wearing, instead of these nice suits that we have to wear every week because I put that stipulation into this, we will be wearing our Whalers jerseys because it's the right thing to do for the Whaler guys to promote the Whaler program. And yes, we want everyone to wear their jerseys and show your support. And we will be out there.
And we'll be at your favorite restaurant because we got about 7 or 8 of them. So one of them is going to be the one that you like. We've already done a show at Salute, which was great with Jimmy Cosgrove.
Oh, he's great.
Who was the Grand Marshal at the
St. Patty's Day Parade.
And Jerry, you marched in the parade with the Whaler group, the Booster Club.
The Booster Club. Well received.
Well received.
Of course, we get the positive of all the Whaler fans, and then you got a couple people get over it, they're never coming back, and it only makes me want to do it more when people are naysayers and it's a pipe dream, it's this, that, the other thing. It's like, come on, you know what? Let me go with my thing.
You can tell me that it may not happen, but the people that tell me it's never ever going to happen are people that got their head buried in the sand.
You know, those are the people that we have to prove wrong. And all of you get on the social media and keep on sticking up for our Whalers, because you know what? We are very, very close. And that's all we can really say, but we know that the NHL's been here. The NHL has talked to the state about what they have to do with the project, and it's very important that we stay committed, not get committed, but committed to the cause. And you know, that's why you guys are the Whalers Brigade. We're the Whaler guys, you're the brigade, and we need you guys to be strong and be with us, and we will make a difference. We've already proven it with the people who talk to us constantly. We have a great bunch of viewers.
There's absolutely no reason for the CRDA to want to talk to us. We're just a couple of guys. But they do come talk to us, and it's because we can get information out to you guys that are watching. And, you know, because, again, with the local media, there's just not a lot of coverage on what's going on with the XL Center, with the NHL, even with UConn hockey. There wasn't a lot.
I have to undo my tie. You get me all irritated.
There really was, and you know, and it's there too, because as I was telling Jerry before the show, you know, I put the UConn goal against BC out on YouTube, and you know, we got over 3,500 hits, views on the video. You know, and that was it's just a goal.
It is,
and that's all it is.
It is. It's a goal, and then our Whalers shows that we were able to put on YouTube, and we try to update it. There'll be another one going on tonight, and we have over 5,400 views. So you know, it's great that you guys are looking for the information, and that's why we continue to try to get information as fresh as we can. Some people are a little close-lipped, but we understand that because of some.
It's a delicate situation, and like I said, it's a step-by-step process. So you know, you may look at step 4, but it's really
we got to start with one.
You got to start with So you know.
It's okay to get excited, because we're excited. We're excited to see you know, Michael Freemuth and CRDA. As you know, they've taken those steps, the bold steps of saying, okay, you can either knock it down, it goes dark like New Haven, or we can be in the game again. And as I've always said, Hartford's the major league city, so let's get going with a major league city again.
Yeah, that would be great.
And UConn's proved it, the Wolfpack, and whether it's basketball or hockey with UConn, and you come up with the numbers, 224,000 people.
That's an incredible amount of people.
That's all that would be lost if people wouldn't come downtown, and it'd be dark for 3 years. So what we're going to do is we're going to wrap it up for tonight, and we are the Whaler guys, and you are the Brigade. One nation under green. Have a great night. Pretty good.